This is Big Man Tyrone, and you're about to watch the MtG Cabal cast with your hosts, Woad, Thirsty, and Reptar. Sub to us on all your podcast networks at MtG Cabal Cast and YouTube.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back to the Cabal Cast, our new episode for the week. We are covering distro problems with Modern Horizons. Mm-hmm. If you follow us, we tweeted out a little bit earlier. It was a conversation we'd had with distributors where they basically said, look, this is it. We're out, and there's nothing left. They don't have any currently on purchase order. Current purchase orders are M20 and Spellbook. That's it. So let's get it taken away then for the details here.
Yep. A couple things we want to touch on top of that was not just MH1 allocation in regards to what's sitting at distro, which is Goose Egg, but the fact that this is a set in a string of 3. So we have, if you include War of the Spark, it's 4 of just like bang, 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 bang. Immediate, right? War of the Spark, a couple of weeks later, MH1. A couple of weeks later, we're going to have Core 2020, which looks to be another banger of a set. Then August 23rd, I just checked this, we get Commander 2019, and then in September we get our fall set. So that is basically once a month starting in May, new sets. MH1 is supposed to be a print-to-demand set, much like Battle Bond was, but with all these sets coming in the pipe, when is there time to print a second run after demand is sated or rather we run out of product and there is still demand for it? Is this just going to turn into another Battle Bond? And that's a distinct possibility. But something that was interesting that kind of spurred this topic as we were fiddle farting around this week while I was at Magic Fest DC was the announcement from Distro.
Yeah.
And you threw that at me, and we just kind of ran with this topic. So, what happened with that?
So basically, what happened was, first off, a couple of distributors couldn't get their whole allocation for Modern Horizons. Financially, just didn't have it pre-sold, whatever. So a third distro came in and said, we'll buy the rest. So went to that third distro, and they, picked up some cases. And he was like, look, do you need any more? I'm like, not right now. And he goes, because this is it. We've got our next purchase order is Core 20 and Spellbook. Mm-hmm. And after that, we'll have Commander and maybe more War. They don't even know if Modern Horizons is going to be on the next purchase order. But that means, according to them, the soonest we would get a restock, the absolute soonest, would be the end of August.
Yep.
Which is crazy to think about because
it's the end of Q4.
Yeah, I mean, that's end of August means we get 2 runs. We're not likely to get a third by the end of the year. So, everyone that was hyping this as an at-will product, they're going to print to demand, whatever, they literally can't. They can't because of how their release structure works. And this is similar to Conspiracy 1 was released the same way. Okay. You had like a month and a half lead time, and it was jammed in between a series of 4 sets.
Oh, is that the first time people were like, holy crap, wallet fatigue?
Yeah. And now they're yet again like, holy crap, wallet fatigue. Mm-hmm. Well, when everyone's scared, be greedy.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a good time because, honestly, you can still, as of yesterday, on TCG, you could still get Modern Horizons boxes for about $180 shipped, which is not that much more than wholesale for a lot of people.
Yeah, apparently there's another group out there that's doing cases of Russian.
Yeah.
Like a little over $200 a box, which, like, if you want to be an absolute greed monster, jump in on that. But
yeah, windmill slam that. Yeah. So the lowest on TCG right now is $180 with shipping included. Mm-hmm. Wholesale for most people is between $159 to $164. So
and that's no box topper, right?
That's with no buy a box. Yeah. That's pretty absurd.
That's pretty rough.
And on top of that, there was the announcement that came out. You heard on the floor of the GP that I believe it was War of the Spark sheets should start mailing out. Maybe.
Yep. That was something I'd read in a Discord I'm in, and then I also heard it at the booth that eventually War of the Spark sheets will be shipping. I heard this week, but I've seen nothing on Twitter. Nobody's mentioned getting any kind of confirmation number. And this is something we talked about earlier. If they're printing off these sheets, that means they have to either be running these presses 24 hours a day or interjecting these printings into the printings of another product, or there's another option in which they go with another printer. So we could be getting products of varying qualities and varying printings again. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's the amount of stuff that they have to print right now for how few printing studios they have. Because it's not like, they have 3 basic printers that they use, one in each of the continents where the game is played.
Yep.
So you got to figure if they have War of the Spark, Modern Horizons, Core 20, Commander 20, in 4 months, one of them is not going to be in print at any given time.
Yep.
And hey, maybe I'm crazy. I think it's probably going to be Modern Horizons.
Yeah, it seems like the most likely culprit because they like to keep standard sets in print for 6-ish months, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think we've actually seen a standard set truly sell out in a while. It feels like sometime around Origins, distro got super low and the initial run was gone, but by the end of week 1 or week 2 of release, the second wave had hit.
And that was how Dominaria was you had, you heard, we're all out, but the next week it was back.
Yeah.
Well, with War, we had we had an extended period where there just weren't boxes available. Like, it was almost a month.
Yeah, and the only filler was anybody arbitraging in from Japan.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting.
And now Japan is out.
Yeah. Experiencing
the shortage we had, so who knows? And it's just very interesting to see this because this presents, a really good opportunity because traditionally, right after a set releases, singles crash.
Yep.
And people expect, there's just going to be more of this, whatever. Well, we're not, we're seeing a little bit, some stuff has gone down. I mean, my pick for the week has been pretty steady since launch, but that's a good sign long term. I think that there's a lot of stuff that's probably long-term underpriced. And I think it's a good opportunity to find your targets in the set and be like, all right, this is something that should be more than it is. Whether it's 100%. Uncommon foils or whatever, and just get them now because this is it. There's not going to be, the peak 3 to 6 month lull in singles where they hit rock bottom like all the master sets, all the standard sets really. Like when the next set comes out, it's at rock bottom. You've hit as much opened as you can in drafts, and that's it. And I just don't see that happening here because people are going to want M20 to draft. That's going to be what they draft on Arena. That's what they want to go to their store and draft.
Yeah, even if there is another print run for this, you have so many other important products that people are going to be buying that the only time you would really see another mass busting might be around the holidays when there truly is a lull between September and January.
Yeah.
Now that the Commander release is back in the summer again, and there's no From the Vault to look forward to, thankfully.
Yeah.
You basically have this October, November, 3-month lull where people can go back and pick up this master set or whatever they feel like they need, for whatever reasons. But the prices on this set are really interesting. You have really high highs and really low lows, and it just seems like it's over correction in both directions, where Hogak went up astronomically and came back down to 20, which is probably fine for this card in the short term.
Yeah.
But then you have cards like Eladamri's Call that were pushed from $4 all the way down to $1.20 heading into the weekend.
Yeah.
For this set. And eventually those numbers will come back and they will settle somewhere in the middle. Not compared one to the other, but just in general. And the floor of the set will raise because it's going to be short print run. Your playables are going to increase in price because they are just going to be short print. That's what we're expecting, is just a short print on the set. So you can start looking for those cards right now. Some of them still exist. I think Eladamri's cost is still well underpriced. It might be $2 or less for the set.
It's less than $2 for this set. It's barely over $1.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
And when I found that out over the weekend, I think I bought 24 or something from inside the hall. I just ordered them on the TCG Player. No problem. The other thing is the Canopy lands. I got asked for every one of the Canopy lands in various quantities. Almost everyone wanted foil except for the people that wanted the blue-green one. Only one person that asked for that one wanted foil. Everybody else wanted foil. And they're all close to $50 plus. But the price range on those is ridiculous right now. As of that weekend, there were 2 over 20 and the others were close to 12 on site. So the price for those, you can actually compare and say they should probably be somewhere close to the middle. They should all probably exist somewhere around 15, except for maybe the red-white one, which sees plays in burn in humans immediately. Green-black one is whatever. I don't know if a fair deck, quote-unquote, can exist in this format right now.
Yeah, it can't, in my opinion. Sorry.
And the other thing about the set that's kind of interesting that we found out over the weekend, because it was a screenshot that came in from the MCQ sign-up of GP Copenhagen, I hadn't hit that time yet where they were going to start the modern MCQ. By the time we got that screenshot on late Friday, my limited MCQ was still going on Friday, the MH1, right? There is a line in that sign-up that says if you win that MCQ for Modern, you have to play that same 75.
Yeah.
It was in the Copenhagen MCQ, and they hyped deck lists at DC, but I couldn't find the registration in time to see if it was the same rule. I assume it is because it seems ridiculous to have disparate rule sets.
I found out actually, it is only at the Barcelona event.
Yep.
Because that is after deck registration. So you're required to use that 75 no matter what, because that's your registration.
So here's the interesting point, and we have a price wagering channel in our Discord, and somebody was trying. I felt like people were being baited by the question of, will a piece from Hogak be banned before the MCQ? And the answer is no. It will not.
Can't.
It cannot. So last week I misspoke and I thought this next upcoming MCQ is standard. It's not. It's modern. We get a ban at Core 2020, which is like a week or two before the MC, so we won't actually get anything banned. So if there's something ridiculous that pops up between now and then, buying in on a short print set is just going to be a great value.
Yeah.
Because, 1, short print. 2, logically should and cannot be banned before that MC. I believe my timings on all of this are correct.
That is correct. I don't think it makes sense because we're not in a memory jar situation, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
And if you're not in a memory jar situation, it doesn't make sense to go out of your way to be like, oh, man, we need to get rid of this.
Yeah, exactly. And like I watched the Hogak deck win. You can go watch the Versus series. Actually, it was like 2 weeks ago and this past week, 2 different days. Ross Merriam beat back-to-back Relics on turn 3, turn 4, Relic. 1 on turn 5 with Hogak. And then this past week on a much more tuned version running white for, I can't remember what. Wispmare. 1 on turn 2. He just nut dredged into 2 bridges, had altar on turn 1, the Hogak, and that was it. You just combo out. That's all you need is altar, 2 bridges, and a Hogak. And you go. Maybe a Neonate or a Stitch or something to kind of jumpstart the chain, quote unquote, or a Vengefine, whatever. And you just go. So, like, look into that kind of stuff. Eldamri's call 5-0'd, I think, heading into the weekend. Somebody took Counter's Company and threw it in there, like I said they should. We'll probably see some toolboxy stuff. Nothing from Urza, so wait on that card. But if we do not get a second release, that's going to be probably an expensive card.
Especially the foils. You know, it's, of course, a mythic foil, so whatever. But that is looking more and more like a strictly EDH card.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And if that's the case, this foil's going to dry up real quick.
Yeah.
The other one that I was taking a look at was, honestly, and I think it's the best card in the set, hands down, Renin 6.
Oh,
That card is an absolute house.
That was the other card we got asked for all day on Friday and Saturday because Sunday had a bunch of legacy events, so you got asked about Renin 6, foil, and non, and I think we had one in our case for either 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And it was just an all weekend question for a non-standard format based card. Obviously, Force of Negation and Force of Green.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And a smattering of moms for people building like Maverick style decks, but whatever. Your main culprits.
This card, though, for me, is like your Eldamri's. Again, as usual, I pick the one with a higher barrier to entry, but
I think it's fine. I was listening back to an EDH Rec podcast today. I think it came out last week, and somebody had chosen Urza as their hit for this set because you don't need a good artifact to be printed to make Urza good.
Yeah,
Urza
he's
just
fine on his
makes artifacts good.
Good. Yeah.
So you just put him in the deck, just like the first sliver and stuff like that. Also, in high question for foil. We had a bunch, but nobody wanted to pay the price, which was interesting because I don't know what they expected to pay when they were pre-ordering for over $200 in foil. People are buying foil Urzas for over $250 pre-order, but not first sliver, so can't tell you.
Yep, it's there though. That's a real number. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, absolutely. But to go back in the timing of Modern Horizons, this is something I touched on with Jeremy Muir in April, and we believe that this is the set that's really going to suffer from this, just what seems like an infinite run at product releases.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've also now started hearing people throw around wallet fatigue finally, and like local Facebook groups and stuff. And of course, it makes sense. Now is when they feel it. They're not going to buy now. They'll recuperate for a month, and this print-to-demand set is suddenly in a 2-month hole where they literally just can't print any more of it.
Yeah. One of the questions that I have that we'll kind of shake out over time is what happens to all the playable commons and uncommons and where their floor goes to. Like right now, I think Shenanigans is under 10 cents on TCG Player, which is fine for a common. But that card is really good, and will have a home in Modern, but what's the price on that going to be? I think I bought, 20 Sling Gang Commanders after the Ringleader preview on Monday night.
Yeah.
Because 20 cents for that card is ridiculous. If it's going to the Goblins deck, that should be like $2 or $3. Because that's your win con, or one of them.
Yeah, and I know some people that even play in Legacy, and they've been experimenting with a red-black build running Sling Gang over Siege Gang, which, for so long was Sacrosanct in the deck. So that's another one that I think is, like you said, just very underpriced. And like the Talismans. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Talisman cycle finally finished, and while I don't have EDH rec info in front of me, they seemed very high on the Talisman cycle in regards to a good printing choice for this set.
Yeah.
And the swords. They were higher on the black-red swords like you and I have, or sword like you and I have been in regards to EDH. And because, like they said, you don't have to attack the player you want to kill a creature in a Planeswalker from. Somebody's going to have a red or black creature that you can just walk right on through and then pop something else. So, that was also those were cheap on the weekend too. I want to say we had those for under 20 a piece, and I think that's wrong long term.
I think it's 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 better than Sword of Body and Mind. No matter what anybody tells you, that sword's garbage. But I think that in EDH is a $30-$35 card easily. You can trade it out at that all day long.
And I think that's one of those cards, like I said earlier, that if you just look at the deltas between cards that should be worth more, cards that are good in EDH, and cards that are just seeing infinite play right now in Modern, that delta is huge, and you can start moving in on those cards to see profit in a couple of months.
Pretty quickly, yeah.
Yeah, I think Morphon might be the only appropriately priced commander card from the set right now. I think just for Commander, Urza is well above and beyond what it needs to be. It should dip, and then it'll come back up.
Yeah,
but
I think about maybe 20 to 30 on him is fine. But Morphon is, and it's funny because when he was spoiled, he was the hottest card in the set.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because he made all your slivers free, essentially.
Yeah. And then Joda started spiking as like a offshoot of that. And I think that, that cooled off pretty quickly. Yeah,
the joke that it's a shape-shifting commander now allows you to play any goofy tribe you want. Ooh. Whatever. It's the CMC reduction that does its thing and is kind of important to the deck as a whole. Not slivers or whatever, the deck being your 99.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting, and we have Core 2020 into... No, the Spellbook comes out.
Yeah,
next
Spellbook.
Week?
Yeah, right? Next week or the week after or something like that, yeah. And then, we get Spellbook Chandra the next month.
Have they announced they're going to do more than these two?
I have not heard anything. And, I think that if their announcement is, hey, we're done with spell books because we're making core sets into spell books, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you get your 3 planeswalkers and your addendum card in a respirator this time around.
Yeah.
Whatever. No, and nothing else slated for the winter, which is basically your reprieve.
Yeah, that's the one time you're able to actually do something with it, it seems like.
And something I've been thinking about too, because my local environment, it's pretty small and people are just kind of churning through product, is at Core 2020. I don't think I'll be working it. I'm trying to think if GP Madison is on the same, or Detroit is on the same weekend. It might be a week off.
Detroit is the release of Core 20, which is why I can't go. Rip.
So yeah, I won't be able to get the information on that, but this is the kind of event where my local scene will basically flip the previous set for like the people who just crack packs are going to flip the previous set for the new stuff, but hold on to a master set for longer because they just expect the cards to accrue. So if things kind of stagnate for a little bit, and I think I leave for Detroit in 21 days.
Yeah.
So if in 3 weeks those cards just don't pick up at all, they just stay low, I wonder if that's what we get at the pre-release, people flipping back. Like, the Planeswalkers, of course, because you get rid of a $4 uncommon Planeswalker when you can. It can't hold forever, right?
Yeah. And it's not going to stick around for very long, so,
exactly.
Get it while you can.
Yep. So I expect some more, but I wonder if in my area, because people like to gamble and play Commander, if Modern Horizons is what we'll see a lot of on the resell. I think with 825, I saw my big sell in September, so that was like a 5-month, I think.
Yeah.
6-month gap. Because that one had the Filter Lands, it had Caracas, it had Port, right? All these cards that tanked and then eventually began to rebound within a couple weeks. Like, I think Port was almost immediate, but if everything stays stagnant for 3-ish weeks and there's no additional print once, so these people can't cycle back in, do they dump? I mean, obviously not the swords or Morphon, stuff like that, but the standard playables like Hogak, or not standard.
Yeah, I think that stuff gets dumped.
Yeah. I'll try and remember and report back on that one, because I think that's going to be an interesting data point. Not every environment is like big and robust and has people that can just shell out money for a lot of singles.
Yeah.
And not every environment has a bunch of degenerates like mine, who just squirrel away, and like 2 or 3 people in their community buy a box, they draft it, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah.
And
it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious where it hits. I think, like we said, though, it's going to be Modern Horizons is where the fatigue hits hardest. Yeah. And if the fatigue is bad enough, are there people like your guys who just dump all of their stuff into, M20, and that's what they go for?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because these guys don't buy the Commander product usually unless there's something they absolutely need. So I don't expect them to be dumping for that product. I would expect them to be moving into 2020 because that's the new set. So.
Yeah.
I know. Time will tell, although I think it seems like everybody kind of agrees that from vendors on down, or distro on down, this is probably just going to be the smallest release of the year.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because this set was pretty good.
Yeah, it was very much. They got a Masters set right. EDH Masters, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's we'll see how it shakes out, Yeah.
Definitely. So I want to move on to Pics, but I just got to find mine. How do I spell his name?
It's
Is it one word or is it hyphenated? All right, spoiler alert, it's Slimefoot.
Yeah, it's slime and foot as one word. That's how you spell it.
It's not. I'm not finding it on stocks. I should have pulled this. There he is. All right. So I brought this up a couple of weeks ago in our Patreon Discord because I wanted to give these guys some headroom on it, some room to move. But I was going through Backstock to move my Dominaria cards out of like my little standard fat pack box of things that are playable. And I had Tatiova and Slimefoot and some of those guys. Like, all right, a lot of these guys are just hot garbage. these uncommon legends. But everybody was pumped for Slimefoot. Everybody, but nobody talks about Slimefoot anymore. What is going on with Slimefoot? And I hit TCG, and I was like, all right, it's like a $2 foil. What's going on? Like, what happened? And I'll bring up the stocks, and you look at it, the foil, and you're like, okay, it's a $2 foil. It's been flat forever. Why would you bring this up? Well, let me find it on TCG Player. This was the interesting part. If the numbers still hold, Dominaria Slimefoot set foil has a market value of $2.34, but in near mint and light play only has like 3 pages of sellers.
Yep.
So this is a card that is kind of exemplified by the Invisibles that we've talked about here and there, the kitchen table guys. That's where Michael's Golem is.
Yep.
Slimefoot the Stowaway just was sneaky one day and disappeared from the internet.
Yeah. It just dried up.
Yep. It looks like there are a couple more now than when I last looked.
Yeah.
But he just piffed.
Yeah, when you brought it up, I think it was down to like 40-something results, and now we're at 80-something.
Yeah. For
near mint LP everything. And it's interesting to see because it's also a relevant tribe, right? Like people make sapperlings. They've tried to make sapperlings a thing. It's one of the, like, it's not quite elves, but it's a fun tribe that people try to build.
Yeah.
So when you'd mentioned it, I was like, wow, I honestly had forgotten the card existed.
It's not Tatiova. It's not the Simic one, right? So why wouldn't there just be a ton of these floating around? Like 80-some prices for this foil with maybe 100 unique or 100 copies on TCG Players. Really low. Like, it seems like a lot, but it's not. It's actually remarkably low for a set that was in print up until 3 months ago?
Yeah, 3 months ago.
Yeah. And I can verify, and I'll do it again, no showing on EDHREC.
Yeah.
690 decks on EDHREC play this card. 0.3% of decks on this site play Slimefoot. So unless somebody's holding infinite of these and releases them into the wild,
playing the long game, baby.
Yeah, right. They're gone. And I want to bring up Card Kingdom because I think I searched Card Kingdom, and I think their price on the set foils over double. It is about double.
Yeah.
That's the pre-release. I'm sorry. $2.99. So yeah, it's still about double what's there on TCG Player because the low-hanging fruit right now is about $1 and change. The delta on this card wasn't too bad. You're able to pick it up pretty easily. This is just a quiet mover. It's quiet.
It's the type of thing that I picked early on with like Arkans Unsealing, where I was like, one day you're just going to wake up and it's going to be like a $5 to $10 card.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one day you're just going to wake up and it's going to be, a $5, $10 foil, and you'll be able to buy list pretty easily at that point for profit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right now you can actually sell the set foils back to Card Kingdom for $1.95 after buying them for $1.30 something on TCG Player.
Good old buy list arbitrage.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's an option. Yep. You can do this immediately. That generally says that this card is moving.
Yeah.
It happened earlier today with something we were talking about after a spoiler. We were just talking about a handful of cards, and I just did some quick research between TCG and Card Kingdom and found that in some cases the delta was negative again.
Yeah.
So you move in.
That's when you go.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, I don't know if I'd go super tall on. I'd probably pick up a playset or two just to hold. Because, again, this card is not really publicly played in the sense that it's not on EDHREC, and I really doubt anybody in Archidect is putting this up. So this is definitely one of those like casual, off the grid kind of cards.
The kitchen table players, like the real kitchen table players of like, I run 10 lightning bolts in a deck.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we're seeing. I would think pick this up because there clearly has been some movement on supply. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, and your card
My card actually ties into the entire topic of this episode. I am going for Unbound Flourishing. This card is ridiculous. It's the reason that both of us had the picks we had a couple weeks ago when it was Helix Pinnacle
and Simic Ascendancy.
Yes, Simic Ascendancy. Because this card's ridiculous in EDH.
Yep.
And especially if Modern Horizons continues to just be dry, $6 to $7 is incredibly underpriced for a non-foil.
Yes.
The foils are even down to about 26, which if you follow us on Twitter, I said 25 would be about where I'd consider getting in. Mm-hmm. I may not wait till 25. At any rate, this print-to-demand set, which has a pretty small print run, I think this is the most EDH card in the entire set.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a mythic and a set that's not going to be out there a whole lot. It's in a color where this effect is real busted. And it's basically doubling season for something else. And as we've seen with doubling season, which has been reprinted, I don't know, a few times, 3, 4 at this point.
Modern Masters 1 and Battle Bond.
Yeah. So we've had 3 reprints, and it's still sitting pretty at around like $50. I don't think there's any reason we don't see Unbound Flourishing hit $50 in about a year.
No.
It's too good at what it does.
And they always print creatures with X on them, spells with X on them. I mean, we're getting a Hydra in 2020.
Yeah, which has the option to double counters.
Already.
So you can quadruple it,
yep.
I guess.
Why not?
And, it especially green doubles pretty well with blue for draw spells, which gives you an extra win con, or it makes it easier to have your win cons. Being able to stroke or blue sun someone out is half as much mana now.
When it goes to permanent spell. Yeah. And man, Torment of Hellfire gets real good with this card.
Yeah, I mean, you might even see this in some of the green-black Tron lists. Who knows? It just seems so Timmy, Spike, and Johnny all rolled into one card, especially since it's 3 mana instead of 5, like doubling season. Yeah. Like it just hits the curve at just the right spot. And, it was when it first got spoiled, Chilcott tweeted out about it and was like, hey, this is the most important card in the set. And I don't know anyone that is disagreed from a financial perspective.
No.
And especially with, supply on MH being low, please sign me up.
This is one of those cards that got pushed to the bottom. Like we were talking about earlier, like Eldamri's Call. It was stable for a while, and I'll bring up the graph. There's really not a whole lot to show in regards to current price, but we can see on stocks here that it started at 40, went to 20, and then just came careening down in the last couple of weeks as individual players and smaller stores started just busting their product and listing it on TCG Player. And I think a call was made to buy in Thursday or Friday? Friday.
Yeah.
Because, again, that was another card I bought on the floor before the doors opened. I just hit TCG Player and bought a handful of them.
Yeah.
The delta right now between TCG low on an LP copy and Card Kingdom buy price is 85 cents. Sorry, credit.
Yeah.
Right?
Still, that's very, very narrow delta and means that, short term it's good, not to mention long term.
Yeah.
The potential you have to gain from that. It's just absurd.
Yeah. I did ask a handful of notable vendors on site what they would think of, because there were people there from outside the U.S. that were selling foil snow basics at like 35% of our retail, or most retail in the room. So they were basically at or below buy list.
Yeah.
And so as I was catching vendors walking by our booth, I asked them about Unbound Flourishing, and most of them believe that this is a $10 card in the short run with infinite potential in the long run.
Yeah.
So this isn't just us kind of pushing here. Like, this is a card that in the long run will hold.
Yeah.
As long as I don't put it in another core set.
Yeah, and I don't think... I mean, maybe they want something like this in a core set they have in the past, but I think it's easy. It's going to be super easy to trade this out at the $15 to $20 range, and I don't think it's that long before it gets there on buy lists.
No, not at all. If you want to wait for that, this should be, like you said, pretty easy to trade out, like either at FNMs or pre-releases where like casuals show up, easy peasy, man.
Yeah, this is the type of stuff they love.
Oh yeah, 100%. I like I said, I bought Unbound Flourishing because I believe in it. At $6, I believe it at less. I believe it at up to 10, and then at that point, that's where I'll hold. I'll stop buying and I'll just hold.
Yeah.
Because the card's gonna go. But that's it for us this week. You got anything else?
Nope, that's it, guys.
Right.
Stay tuned. We'll have updates on Twitter throughout the week, of course.
Yep. I am at Halt. I am Reptar. You are.
And I am at Thirsty Sizzler.
We are at MTG Cabalcast on Twitter and Patreon. You can also still enter our raffle for our UMA box by signing up, even the base level, which costs you a whole $1 and gets you access to everything we've been talking about today in channel about negative deltas from TCG to Card Kingdom. You get that. So.
Yep. You even find out when I get drunk and just start buying cards, which is always fun.
Oh yeah. Or vomiting on mailboxes as things.
It happens.
But, all right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
See
no
you.
problem.